Election day is here. As voters head to the polls, Donald Trump's stance is clear. The only way he'll lose is if the election is rigged.
And if you can watch your vote counter, if we could bring God down from heaven, he could be the vote counter, we would win this, we'd win California, we'd win a lot of states.
Regardless of the vote totals, Trump will claim victory. And that is why it is so important to understand the ways in which the vote totals will fluctuate as the night progresses, particularly in swing states. So here's a breakdown of what to expect. Let's start with Pennsylvania, a state that could determine the winner. Trump and his allies are already making bogus claims of, quote, serious voter fraud in the state.
There are some bad spots in Pennsylvania where some serious things have been caught.
Of course, there's no evidence of any voter fraud. In 2020, Trump had a lead of nearly 700,000 votes the morning after the election. But Biden ultimately won the state as more mail-in ballots were tallied, fanning the flames of Trump's denialism. This year, counties will be required to announce on election night how many mail ballots remain uncounted in an effort to thwart conspiracy theories. North Carolina is another key battleground that could see dramatic shifts throughout election night. The state typically reports results quickly, with mail-in ballots counted first, followed by early voting ballots, and then election day ballots. In 2020, the state reported 99% of votes by midnight on election day. This time, expect the process to be slower. The state is still recovering from the damage caused by Hurricane Helene. And they passed a new law that requires election officials to wait until after the polls close to count early voting ballots. Next up, Wisconsin. Election officials aren't allowed to start processing mail-in ballots until election day, which means the state will take longer to report results. Cities can also choose how they report results. Most lump mail-in and election day ballots together, but some Democratic areas, like Milwaukee, report them separately. This means that results are harder to predict, and we could be in for some surprises as the night unfolds. Speaking of slow, there's Nevada. It was one of the slowest states to count their vote in 2020. But election officials are hoping things improve this time around. Election officials were given the green light to start counting mail-in ballots on October 21st, rather than waiting until Election Day. Early in-person votes will be counted starting at 11 a.m. Eastern, instead of when the polls close at 10 p.m. But results will not be released until the last person in line has cast their ballot. In 2020 and 2022, initial Republican leads in Nevada faded as mail-ins were counted. While this year's early mail-in counting could favor Democrats, Nevada Republicans are voting early in large numbers this year.
This has never happened before.
Michigan, which spans 2 time zones, will close its polls either at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern. The state has also changed its procedures to allow more time for counting mail-in ballots. Towns with more than 5,000 residents can now begin counting ballots up to 8 days before the election. In 2020, Trump's lead in Michigan was whittled away as mail-in ballots were counted after in-person ballots. But this year, counting mail-in ballots early could lead to the opposite scenario, with Democrats leading initially but doing worse as time goes on. In Georgia, early in-person voting is extremely popular.
52% of active voters have voted already in this election, about 3.7 million people.
Early votes, along with mail-in ballots, must be totaled by 8 p.m. Eastern on Election Day. These results tend to favor Democrats, potentially creating a blue mirage that lasts for hours before Election Day votes are counted. In 2020, Biden beat Trump in Georgia by less than half a percentage point, and the race wasn't called by the AP until November 19th. And finally, Arizona. Polls will close at 9 p.m. Eastern, and the first batch of results will be released an hour later. Those results include mail-in ballots and in-person votes counted before Election Day. After that, Election Day votes will be reported in the hours after the polls close. The last votes counted will be mail-in ballots dropped off too close to Election Day to be counted earlier. In 2022, Democratic Senator Mark Kelly started the night with a 20-point lead over his Republican challenger, but that advantage shrank to just 5 points by the end of the night. This year's already shaping up to be different.
Election day just a week from tomorrow, Republicans hold a 100,000 early ballot advantage over Democrats in Arizona.
Arizona Republicans have been voting early in droves, which could offset the typical blue mirage. In these critical swing states, the stakes for democracy are higher than ever. As we head into another contentious election, voters should prepare for what could be a turbulent few days, or even weeks, before the winner is confirmed. So be sure to familiarize yourself with your polling location and hours, and make a plan to get your vote in on time. And while Trump's strategy may be heads I win, tails you lose, remember, the real power lies with the voters. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe to get more stories like this one. And if there's a story you'd like More Perfect Union to cover next, please drop it in the comments below.